Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the virtual town hall with small business. I'm Lieutenant Governor Dan McKee, and we appreciate everyone that is listening in and talking about the small businesses in the state of Rhode Island during the COVID-19 pandemic. Today, we'll have a panel of business owners. We're going to bring a couple of our state senators in to talk with them about the impact that that this virus is having on our businesses. Also, we'll have SBA, DLT will be on as well, and then a special presentation by by my three amigos in terms of the small business rismallbusiness.org site. That's going to be a special one. We're not going to have the Friday show. We're going to make sure that we have a special show and one additional special show based on what's happening in our state. And so today at 5 o'clock, we'll have a show on that has to do with the national story that's happening, and that unfortunately has been, has visited our city of Providence last night. Clearly, we don't condone any of the violence, but also we don't, we want justice for the hate crimes that happen in Minneapolis. So we'll be talking more at length at that tonight. Today, we're going to focus strictly on the issues that we've been focusing on for the last several weeks, and related to our small businesses, opening up the economy. And 5 o'clock tonight, we'll get into more depth on those issues. So I want to just welcome everybody. We're in the reopening stage of two, right, of our reopening. Our businesses still need help. We're still working as an article in the Providence Journal today that talks about the fact that I think that we should be using some of that federal dollars to help our small businesses. It's allowable with the federal dollars that the state has received, that $1.25 billion. It is allowable use. The guidelines call that those funds can be used to help our small businesses who were forced to close during this pandemic. So we're going to keep on focusing on that, and of course the idea of partnering in with our state and our local banks. And Mark Haywood, we're going to bring Mark on now, and we're going to pursue that conversation we had together on Friday, where potentially the SBA could come in on some of those guarantees to help our small businesses, and we're going to follow up on that. So Ben, is Mark here? If Mark's here, let's bring him in. This is great. Hi, Mark.
Good to see Governor. You. How are you? Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. A lot is happening in our world, and so we certainly want to focus on that as a priority. But like I said, we'll talk about that tonight at 5 o'clock. At least I'll be talking about it. Today we're going to stick to our topics, which are very important to our small businesses, and I know that you are working really hard on that. So give us an update on where we are on some of the loans and some of the PPP, loans, where their statuses are, and anything else that you think could be helpful.
Yeah, actually, we just got some updates on the numbers that we have on PPP, as well as the idle loans. There are 2,500 idle loans for approximately $181 million, and that will be going up. And I fully suspect, based upon the damage that was done last night, Governor, that Governor Raimondo will make a request for physical damage to the agency, to the administrator, for those small businesses. It's a different program. So now we're going down we're going down PPP, we're going down idle, and then there's a potential for an additional declaration as it relates to the violence that happened last night, just FYI. We certainly want to get those small businesses up and running, and as quickly as we can. So it's just adding to the overall woes. But on PPP, Governor, we're still at $1.9 billion. We're inching up incrementally. I heard from a number of businesses over the last few days where they were looking at people who waited because they were not open. They allowed their people to stay out. They were doing some assessments to see whether or not they should be coming back online. And I got actually some daycare providers, a couple of restaurants called yesterday, and we've hooked them up with lenders to try to put them now into the PPP. And remember, I realize that there is amendments that are being looked at from a congressional standpoint. That PPP amendments did pass the House 417-1. The Senate it comes into session today. But just based on what we have right now, there's 150 billion left, and of that, you have to remember it does end on June 30th. So people need to apply if they are going to apply, so that they can be dispersed. And there's just so much going on, Governor.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate your help, and I think the update there on the the fact that the PPP loans are still available, and people need to really assess. And I was talking to businesses this week about. Hi, Joe. Joe Rodeo coming in. Thank
Hey,
you,
Joe.
Good afternoon.
We need. Hey, if you have a need and that PPP works for you, let's move on it. You got the June 30th, and the more dollars that come into the state of Rhode Island, the better off we're going to be. So we want to encourage those businesses, Mark, right, to continue.
Yeah, absolutely, Governor. And on forgiveness for those who have PPP loans, what we're trying to tell people is, over the next, we're thinking over the next week or so, we'll get some maybe changes. So while we're trying to give people guidance on what forgiveness looks like, we're also trying to juggle a number of other things that say, well, hang on, let's see if there are changes that it extends out under the House bill. It extends actually, Governor, to 24 weeks. So, it's important for people to be able to use the money that they got. And we'll see what forgiveness looks like. But we are working with people now. We're working with Melissa Travis from the CPA Society, who's done an excellent job. So, I mean, there's a lot of different moving parts. But I'd say by the next time we do this, Governor, we'll probably have a lot more clarity.
Yeah, that's good, Mark. And I know you're working with Melissa, and there's a lot of great organizations that you're having direct contact with. I've always said that our office is this information center right now, and we distribute all the good information that we get. And if we're filling in some gaps that are not being covered, then we're doing our job, and we appreciate your time that you give us. Joe, do you have any questions at all, or any updates in your mind that what you've been working on? That beard's, you're starting to compete with Matt.
Since I was late to the party and I missed the beginning, I'll just presume that any questions I would ask would be duplicative and say thanks again, Mark. And
yeah, but I would say, Mark, I do plan after this call to be walking through downtown Providence to take a physical look at what you were talking about. I'm hopeful that I'm going to have some company from the leadership of the Black Lives Matters that actually wants to see us to peacefully demonstrate in the right way, and I'll be walking through the downtown later, very early this afternoon. So and I'll deliver the message to those businesses that hopefully there might be some potential help down the line in a program that you just described for businesses that are impacted.
Yeah, under the rule, Governor, there's a requirement to have 25 businesses that have physical damage, and I think we're well over that. And that's extremely unfortunate. It really and truly is. But we'll work with the governor to try to get see where we're coming from on that, and see if we can get another declaration. I think the bottom line is, listen, small businesses here in Rhode Island are precious. We're trying to keep everybody as alive as we possibly can. We are seeing some individuals who are having a rough time. There was an article in the Newport Daily News, Governor. I don't know if you saw that, where I think it was more of a paint store and sundry store. She was having a difficulty with her landlord, and subsequently she decided that she was going to close. We've reached out to her just to see if we can get her back into business and see if there's anything that we can do to help.
Yeah, I think that's the bottom line. And regardless of where the need is, try to fill it. And no matter the emergency that we have, whether it's COVID or like the destruction last night in Providence, we need to fill it. So and we need to do it very without a lot of emotion. Let's just get it done. Let's keep these business. Ben, do you have a question at all?
I do. Yeah, I just have one question from Mark today. SBA Economic Injury Disaster Loan offered me quite a bit. Can I apply this to hiring people, and will any of this be offset/returned, or is it strictly a loan?
The EIDL is strictly a loan, and it can be applied to certain things. If you got a PPP, it's less from. It cannot be applied to salaries, but it can be applied to other matters. And I would suggest that the individual reach out to us, and we can give them the list of things that they can do. We're getting a lot of people who are asking that question as well. So,
Great. Thanks, Mark.
thanks, Governor. Got to run.
Hey, you gotta run. I know you, but we'll see you next week. Joe, let's bring Matt Weldon on. And hi, Matt.
Governor, how are you?
Good. Did you get a trim?
I don't know, Joe now with the glasses too, it's starting to get a little bit strange. I may have to, either he's going to grow more hair or I'm going to have to cut mine.
I do have an appointment scheduled within the next week, so I'll be, I'll be trimmed and looking professional. Although I
you got a tie on today.
Yeah,
That's pretty good. I got a shirt with a collar. That's not bad.
There you go. I'm headed out to Providence right after this to see what's
just super quick today, because I know you're really busy and I want to hear what the senators have to say. A couple of things. We remain incredibly busy, and even though we're only seeing maybe 1,000 claims a day, think about it for a moment. It's still 1,000 claims a day, and our number as of today is 237,780 claims. And of course, some of those will be duplicate claims, but not most of them. The great majority of claims are unique individuals trying to collect here. And so we're working with all those people. We have all hands on deck. We're doing everything we can to get them connected with benefits in a reasonable time frame. 61,000 people are on that PUA program, and that's the program we've spoken about, the new program. And 24,000 are on TDI. So that's just an incredible amount of Rhode Island's workforce. Our workforce is only about 560,000 people. And so we're really hitting a major percentage there. We want people to know that we understand it's frustrating. We know, I see them coming in every day from your office, Governor. I know people are at their wits' end hoping that we can get to them, and we are getting to them. And it's sometimes one at a time. And some of the ones that come through are incredibly complicated. And because of the different rules and the federal programs and the state laws, we have to put people into the appropriate program and get them paid the appropriate amount of money. And we don't want to set anyone up for an overpayment down the road. And that would be a bill that they would receive that would be devastating. And so what we're trying to do is prevent that. Sometimes that means it takes a little bit longer, and I'm very sorry. Keep reaching out to people the way that you do. Many people on this session every week go through your office or go through directly to me or go through the web form that DLT has. Keep doing it. It's working, and it is taking a while to get back to people, but we're getting back to them. And I'm starting to see less of repetitive names when I look at my list every day. So that's a good thing. For businesses, we're working really hard to automate a bunch of the work share provisions. We've spoken about work share a few times here, Governor. It's a good program. It's a very busy program right now, and it's getting busier. And so because of that, we are pushing very hard every day to get a couple of IT changes that need to be done finished so we can accept applications online. That will make it much easier all around. Again, a big federal program with lots of rules. So we're trying to make them as easy as it can for the customers that need to use it, to get people connected to their benefits quickly, and to help businesses to, as we said earlier, keep them viable during this very difficult time. That's really it from me, except when I worked in the State House years ago, a senator would ask for a moment for a point of personal privilege. So I'm going to ask just for 2 seconds to say sometimes when we get wrapped up in all the work we're doing, we forget some of the important moments in our lives. And for all the 2020 grads, I just want to say on behalf of the Department of Labor and Training and my colleagues here, congratulations. You're about to enter your next step of your life, and whether that be college or a career or job training, it's a big deal. And yesterday I had the opportunity to sneak out of here for maybe an hour total to get to the East Bay to watch my son with his honors rope that he gets to wear and his pin walk across the stage at Mount Hope High School. So congratulations to Colin Weldon. He'll do great things in the engineering program at URI next year, following in his dad's footsteps. He's smarter than me, so he's going to be an engineer and not, me. But he's going to my alma mater, and I'm very happy. Congratulations to all the grads out there. We look forward to helping you down the road with your workforce needs. and to get you connected to good, meaningful, well-paying Rhode Island jobs.
Well, thank you, Matt, for bringing us back down to earth, get our feet on the ground. And, I was fortunate to do a program last week honoring 53 of our graduates, all from different high schools that were designated as their, like a leadership award, and saying the same things to them. So yeah, we're very proud of your son and everybody out there that's doing the work. And we want them to stay here in Rhode Island. And that's why you're doing the work we're doing, and we're doing the work that we're doing right now to protect our economy right now. So keep on doing the work you're doing. I know that work share is going to be, I was with a company yesterday and they were telling me their circumstance, and then I advised them to seek out the work share strategy, because they're not going to be fully operating and for some time. And so they're at 25%. They don't need 100% staff, but they need the staff. So if that work share can work out for a number of our businesses, that's going to be another way that we're going to protect our small businesses. So that's very important work. I hope that maybe if you need more people to do the work, I'm hoping that maybe you find a pool of people that can help you do that specifically, because I think you're going to see that now that phase 2 is in effect. People are going to realize that it's not going back to business as usual. And what are they going to do about that? Ben, do you have a comment or a question that you wanted to share with that, Matt?
Absolutely. I have no comments ever. Only questions. Diane says, how do I reactivate our work share plan? Do I just fax over the biweekly form? Also, I had 3 people that were laid off, but now will be added to the work share program. Can I just add them to the form? Thank you. Thank you for all that's being done to help.
So sure, work share plans can be modified, and the best way to contact work share right now is through the email. And I would suggest, actually, for the people on this call, maybe push it to the Lieutenant Governor's email for the moment, because those are coming directly to me, and then I can make sure that these get done. On the next call we do next week, we can talk more about other avenues to get in, and I'm hoping by then to offer a web-based solution. But in the meantime, if they can email that ltgov20@gmail.com, I know your staff governor will push those to me, and then I can make sure that we get people connected with the right people here at the LT.
Yeah, that's great, Matt. Thank you very much. Ben, anything else?
2 more questions. What is DLT doing to verify 1099 people actually have no work?
That's so right now, people that are not on W-2 payroll, there's no way to verify their wages in real time like we can with employees. But what we are doing is sampling the participants that we have, and we will audit some of those claims like we do in any program to ensure program integrity. And if someone is audited, then we're going to be looking at different bank records and everything else. We don't want to make this a painful process. It's a good program. To protect integrity, we're required to do this, to check claims every once in a while. And so I would just suggest to everyone, please, when you report in every week that you don't have any earnings, let's make sure you're being truthful and honest. That is one of the questions you are asked on each week. Did you have any earnings? Please report them. If you don't, and we audit you and we find that you did, there will be penalties and interest. And we don't, like I said earlier, we're trying to prevent any overpayments. We know people need every dollar they're asking for right now.
Final question is, one of my employees is on unemployment and still waiting for their retroactive weeks when they were waiting for approval. Any idea when back weeks will be coming?
I think, again, let's point that person to the ltgov20@gmail email address, and let's help them out that way.
Okay. Thank you, Matt.
Joe, you got anything for Matt?
No, just thanks, Matt.
Joe.
Keep it up.
Yeah, that's good. Thanks, Matt. Stick around.
Thank you.
We've got businesses that have some issues that they want to put on the table, and that's what our whole idea is, to help these small businesses out. And Matt, again, thank you to you and your department and everybody that's on your staff for the work that you're doing to help our small businesses, and also help the everybody in the state of Rhode Island. That's a huge number compared against our workforce, and we need to protect that, because every person who can work in our state, adds to our economic strength. And so we need to make sure we're holding on to people that have worked and that are out of work right now, so that when it's time for them to get back into work, we're sitting in a spot where we can build off of. And I want this recognized by everybody that's listening to this, that the work that you're doing is not just providing the benefits, but it is protecting the long-term economic stability for the state of Rhode Island. Thank you. Joe.
Thanks, Governor. Sorry for the tardiness.
That's okay. We were just talking about, trying to stay focused on our small business issues, and the fact that we're going to have a show at 5 o'clock that's going to really speak to some of the things that are happening nationally and locally in terms of the peaceful demonstration on Saturday, and then the problems that we had last night, and trying to keep that all into perspective. But 5 o'clock, we'll get into that a little deeper with some of the leadership in the state that we need to hear from. So, Joe, other than that, have you got anything else? Otherwise, I'm going to move on to rismallbusiness.org.
Thanks for your work on that, and I'll look forward to tuning in. 5 o'clock. Thanks.
Beautiful. Yep. Okay, let's bring on the rismallbusiness.org. I think we got three amigos, that crew here, and two of them. Justin's not around. I want to tell you, I did see Justin yesterday. I visited his shop and delivered a couple of his donations, which had to do with the plastics that could be used in a retail area. We went to Rhode Island, Ryan Bissett, another Cumberland kid, Laurie, actually.
Yeah, I know. That's great.
And put it to him, and then we got the pictures on the front page of the store, front page today, really bringing awareness that we need to really show great attention to our small businesses, and just continue to reemphasize the fact that there are federal dollars that could be appropriated to help our small businesses, and I believe we should need to do that aggressively. It's kind of it's kind of like, I think what was the Pennzoil advertisement, where it's pay me now, pay me later. I think it was one of those.
Yeah.
Well, either we invest in our small business right now, we're going to pay the price later, and that's what you have been doing with you and Justin. So I think you got it. We're talking about the website, the change.
Yep.
Give us like a little preview, and then maybe we can bring something up on the screen if that's possible. Chris, I don't know what it is, but tell me what we can do.
Yeah, thank you. So as we've mentioned in the past few virtual broadcasts, is that we've been revamping the rismallbusiness.org website. It started off with Justin as a Gift It Forward program, and it has evolved since. And now we are excited to actually unveil it with you. It's not live yet. We're going to have it live, later this week. But I'm going to try to share my screen and see if this technology works. So here we go. Let's see. Can you see my screen?
Ben might be able to. Yeah, again. Oh, there I am. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So here's the new site for rismallbusiness.org. And as you can tell, the focus right here is to what we call join the coalition. Essentially, we really want all these small businesses to continue to register so that we can be part of a larger group to advocate for our needs as small businesses. The stronger we are together, the stronger we will be able to achieve the needs that we desperately so need. So as you can see, there's going to be 4 main buckets, so to speak. And one of the biggest ones is how to open. So a lot of that's from the commerce with reopeningri.com. They have a great site that they are updating the best that they can. So the primary function is to go to that site, but there's also more information, whether it's from DBR, commerce, free masks, social distancing items. So again, if there's any information to add, we will add to it. And there's also information and resources. So this is what I was alluding to earlier. If you're an organization that's providing resources or information that we want to be a part of it, please email me or please email the Lieutenant Governor's office. I'm working with Shay, and we are creating a spreadsheet, and then we're going to update this page right here. So again, if you're an organization that's providing resources, I've mentioned the Rhode Island Small Business Development Center, I mentioned SEG, CWE, and all the chambers that want to have their site linked here, because we know that the only way that we're going to succeed is if that we all work together and swim together in the same direction. So this is a hub, a centralized hub for all small businesses in Rhode Island. So all these other great organizations that are helping out, we want to, put them on the site so that these small businesses has one site to go to register and to find ways to help them, as well as services. So I mentioned this before, if you're a company or an organization providing free services, you email us, we'll add you to the site as well. Whether it's consultation services, how to open, social media, business advisement from the Rhode Island Small Business Development Center. If you're offering free services, again, please let us know and we can add you to the site. And finally, this is when I'm going to stop sharing my screen and share it off to Lori. But one of the big components as well is to buy local. So Lori and her team has been building a site that you go to rismallbusiness.org and you can click shop local and click one of these buttons and it'll go to that site of which we gathered at small businesses. And again, Lori will share more of that.
Sorry, can you just share that? I thought you were just going to click on the shop local.
Oh, okay.
That would be much easier.
All right, I'm on it.
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay, so I'm going to click on shop local, and then that would go to this site right here.
That looks great.
Yeah, so I think, so when you're in this hub for small business and, oh, sorry, just click that up. When you're in this hub for small business, some of the things we want to do is make sure that the small businesses are not only getting the resources that they need, but they're in terms of information and being able to operate efficiently, but also to bring customers to them and create a digital footprint that some businesses don't have. So there are three pieces. When you're on rismallbusiness.org and you click on the shop local, you'll go into a searchable site by location or by product, or you can just type in like steak if you feel like you want to find a restaurant that has steak. And so it's searchable by category, by gift cards. You'll see the gift cards front and center there. And then for companies that want to offer sales or coupons or whatever. So the second thing is all businesses, all small businesses that are on the rismallbusiness.org and click into shop local have the opportunity to put their business up, change their listing, include photos for their listing, or update about the way that their particular business is operating right now as we move through these phases. And then the third piece will be that we're going to be doing some business webinars so that we're going to be sharing the information. So if you're a business that has found success with a particular process, we want to make sure that we're embracing these businesses so that the success of one business can be shared for other businesses. So this is like, let's all swim in the same direction. Let's help each other. So again, you're on rismallbusiness.org and you have the hub for really, as a small business, everything you need. So it's a great resource. And Chris, I thank you for the work that you're doing. I mean, this partnership is really cool.
Yeah, there's a couple things that I want to say is, besides the facts of thank you, was that our small businesses, they just want to know that somebody cares about them, right? I think that's part of when I'm talking to small businesses over the last number of years and being in every community, all 39 cities and towns, visiting from used car dealers to farms to manufacturers to restaurants and everything in between. The percentage is so high of people who own those businesses who do not feel as though that the local community or the state really cares about them. And so that's a really important factor in this work. So I encourage all the small businesses to participate. participate now when you actually need the help, but also participate when we start moving down the line and we're getting back to a little bit more of a normal type of economy. Because as Chris said, if we're not all swimming in the same direction, if we're not all pooling all our resources together and we get fragmented, our ability to influence policy and both locally, state, and federal is minimized substantially, significantly. So thanks for all the stuff you're doing. And also a shout out to Justin. And he gave me a nice yesterday with the Rhode Island logo on it. I'll be using it this afternoon in about a half an hour. I should be going through Providence and seeing what we need to see, especially our small business impacted. Mark Hayward.
I'm here right on Westminster in our office right now. So
we may be by. So I'm going to take a tour over with one of the leaders of the Black Lives Matter, so that they can actually talk to Gary and so Gary can explain that this is not their idea. This is not their concept of what we want to do. And I think that communication is so very important right now. And we need to make sure that we're listening and giving people a seat at the table in a way that matters. Right. And, my show tonight at 5:00, I'm going to be asking everybody this simple question. And I think it's the one that needs to be answered is, it's either a yes or a no. Do Black Lives Matter?
yeah.
Sorry.
About it, just it's yes or no. So we'll have you kind of weigh in a little bit tonight, but I want to thank you for your work. But on the backdrop of this work is the COVID-19 and the pandemic, how that's impacted our economy, and now the issues that are at hand, right? The important issues at hand that I know we all feel strongly about.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for everybody being here.
Our pleasure. Black Lives Matter for sure. Thank you.
Yep. See you in a bit. Look out for me. I'll have
I
this
will.
mask on. Okay. All right. So now, what we're going to try to do is on some of these shows. Look, a lot of our reps and senators are working very hard. A number of them are listening right now. Thank you to Senator Palmer and Rep Phillips and others that are watching us. Rep Toban and others from Pawtucket. Today I got two senators on. We're going to bring them, with a business, and we're going to do two segments. One with a senator and one with a business owner. And so can we bring Senator Cano on first, please? Senator.
Hi, Lieutenant Governor. It's great to be here with you. Thank you so much for inviting me. Yeah,
and before Jose comes on, I just wanted to feature our senators, our good senators out there. We've got one here from the Pawtucket. You represent Pawtucket and the good Blackstone Valley. We're very proud. I live in Blackstone Valley. Very proud of our delegation there. And then we'll bring Senator Rapakis on, who can be very, very, very strong in his voice for small business. And he'll be on, and he represents down in Coventry area. So give us just a quick overview of how this, this epidemic, pandemic, this COVID-19 virus is impacting your community, impacting your ability to lead your community. And that's why we wanted to give you a couple minutes to voice that.
I really appreciate it, Lieutenant Governor. First, I would like to also say thank you to Mark Hayward and, of course, to Matt Weldon, their teams for everything that they do to help our Rhode Island small business and our Rhode Island residents through this pandemic. Obviously, without their leadership, we wouldn't be able to respond so quick to the needs of the community. So I just want to say, Senator DePalma,
yes,
it's great that I get to talk to a lot of my colleagues about this pandemic and the impact of the small business, and we share the same concerns. So I would like to just give you a little bit of overlook of what I've been hearing in the Pawtucket area and from other business from the state. So one thing that I think is very crucial is that our all the small businesses are really being impacted. But one segment of our business that often don't have a voice is the minority and small business owners. And I've been hearing from them that they are really getting a hard time getting resources and getting, qualify to the PPP loan for various reasons. And I do know that we have a lot of organizations helping them, which I think that is very positive. But certainly we do need to do more as a state. One of the things that I like to bring out is, I'm sure you saw an op-ed that I put together.
Yes.
Because I was able to be I'm a member of the Joint Legislative COVID-19 Emergency Spending Task Force that the General Assembly put together. Out of that, I was able to ask some questions about how we've been spending the COVID-19 money that we get into the state, and specifically if we have allocated any of those allocate any of those funds to any contracts with the business owners due to the pandemic, and specifically in the construction of the field hospitals, which I want to be very clear. I'm not criticizing the need of the field hospitals. I actually think that the building trades did an exceptional work, and I want to thank them for that. And also, I want to say that due to this pandemic, it is important to as elected officials and authorities to find, the answers to the solution to something that obviously is very unpredictable, and the field hospitals were needed. What I'm questioning is the procurement process that were, delivered through these $34 million spending on the construction of the field. And it was $0 allocated to the small business, minority business enterprise. I want to just highlight that by law, every state contract, we have to do at least 10%. But due to the emergency, we just overpassed that law, and we just decided that no minority business enterprise were worth at this time to give that money. I don't know if it is a misconception that they cannot handle the work, but I have heard from the small businesses, and that's the reason why I felt the need to make sure that we bring this issue to light and speak on behalf of them, that we do need to be more inclusive, and we need to make sure that we take care of our minority business enterprises that have gone through this rigorous certification, and they're ready to do the work, and they're qualified. And that's why I think that we have one of our small business owners that are ready to, and I think I'd rather hear from him.
Yeah, we're going to bring Jose on, but I want to thank you. And then there's an article in the Journal today that highlights my feelings and our work that we've been doing together and collectively, with these broadcasts. And then, as Matt and Mark was mentioning, by the way, anybody has a question of DBR, Liz Tanner was not able to be here today, but you can ask your question, put it online, send it to us at ltgov20@gmail.com, and we'll follow up with you. But Senator, we really need to put a spotlight on those federal dollars, that $1.25 billion. I think a lot more should be going to our small businesses. We certainly, you bring up a really important point, and we've been really very much with our feet on the ground. That, especially in the Hispanic community. We know that there's impacted communities that are more highly impacted than others right now. And why would you not try to roll resources in a legal way through contracts like this into those very communities? So we know that, and then we're going to put a special, program today at 5:00 talking about the Black community in the state of Rhode Island and how they're being impacted by the COVID, but also how they're being impacted by the national, news and the Minneapolis, that horrendous conduct there that cost a Black man his life needlessly, and how they need to make sure they're prosecuted. But yes, our impacted communities, we know the Hispanic community is disproportionately impacted in terms of the virus, the more resources that we can get in there, the better. We know that there are other communities as well. So your point on this is so important, and I hope that that not just the Hispanic media picks it up because it impacts the Hispanic community. This is something that impacts our entire state of Rhode Island. We need to get resources into these impacted communities in a way that's legal and it's appropriate. What you're pointing out is just that. There should have been $3, $4, $5 million of work that was provided into the communities you're talking about, and then those dollars get into the community and they get spread amongst the community, and it helps our economy.
And Lieutenant Governor, I have spoken with the Latino business contractors, the Black business contractors, and what I am very disappointed about is that they didn't even know that these dollars were going to be allocated, which to me, that is very sad, because during this pandemic, they're ready to work and they employ Rhode Islanders, and they are being really hardly impacted, just like every other small business in our state. So it's just a matter of equity. It's a matter of making sure that we take care of all Rhode Islanders and all Rhode Island small businesses, regardless of the zip code. So I really appreciate your the support, and I also want to highlight that my colleagues in the Senate, especially the Senate Finance Committee, have been really supportive on this issue, and they have also questions. So I want to just give a shout out, because it's not a matter of me doing this alone. It's a matter of making sure that we all really understand that this is a need and this is something that we need to do together, right?
Yeah, and that's why we're reaching out to the senators and the reps and give them a place to say exactly that. We know there's a broad group of senators and representatives that are working on this. But your point, and then we'll bring Jose on, and we can bring Jose on when we make this point. But what you just said is what I'm concerned about, is that there's not a spotlight on the issues. Right here in those guidelines about the $1.25 billion, it says expenditures related to the provision of grants to small businesses to reimburse the cost of business interruption caused by the required closures. No one knows that, and that's why we need to let people know, and that's what you're doing with your op-ed, and I encourage every mainstream media to follow that story. The more light that we put on the situation, the more transparency we have, the better our communities are going to be and the stronger they're going to be. And the more they're going to believe us as elected officials that we really do care to give them the information. And you've done.
And Lieutenant Governor, the goal is that, okay, we already find out that 34 million didn't include minority business enterprise. What are we going to do with the rest of the money? Well, we have a lot of money that we could potentially distribute in our state to respond to this crisis. And our business owners deserve to have that share of that money, right? And then so what I'm asking is just to make sure that we include every small businesses, including the minority business enterprise, women business enterprise, that are definitely hundreds in our master list, right, in the state. And they have been through a rigorous certification. And I think Jose can speak about that certification process.
Yeah, we get Jose in here. And as I've said, all 39 cities matter, and everybody lives in those communities matter, and every community that makes up those communities matter. And we got to be, really supportive of all our different communities. And what you're pointing out is so important. Jose, thank you. Welcome for being here. How are you doing?
Thank you, Lieutenant. Thank you, Sandra Cano, for the opportunity here. And first of all, I want to say thank you so much to Sandra Cano for helping my business to get the loan for the PPA loan. Thank you, Sandra, because we got that money to help my company to continue grow business in the state of Rhode Island. When my bank, Santander Bank, I have to say the name, they say no in the beginning. Sandra Cano, and one day the bank Navigant Credit Union say yes, they approve that. And thank you, Mark, for the SBA for the approve that money in my bank in one day. Thank you so much, and thank you, Lieutenant, for your support to a small business like my MBE company like me. We in the state of Rhode Island helping people in the state of Rhode Island to grow up, keep people in business and job. That's my philosophy, to stay in business. And last week when I find out my company was invited to participate in that be in the hospital, I got a little disappointed. Why? Because I got the money to keep my guys in business, to keep the guy in my payroll, and not participate in this job. They put me behind and to keep a 8-week program to keep my payroll with my guys, and for the next 8 weeks to try to pay the money right away. This is why I got a little disappointing about it. Yep. Because we're doing business in Rhode Island. We comply with the certification regulation, insurance, work compensation, and bonding. We got all the regulations the state asked to us to participate to a small business for the state job. We comply with everything. We are union company. We are union company. We provide all the information they're asking there. We're there. We're the only MBE company beside Tavares. We're doing union job. And all my job is here in the state of Rhode Island. I don't need, I told many times, you and Senator Cano, I don't need to go Massachusetts and I don't need to go Connecticut. No, we need to protect Rhode Island job here. This is why it's my job to provide the job in the state of Rhode Island. We don't need give the opportunity to company out of the state with our money, taxpayer money, and the MBE company, they don't get nothing from there. That's unacceptable for them. And then I had to send my guy to lay off, reading my unemployment rate for the unemployment because my guys is collecting. When we have a job, we have a job here.
And that's why the senator is right. Let's talk to our business owners like you who understand what's, how to, what impacts our businesses. As a small business owner myself, I take this very personal. We need to get the resources, as many resources as we possibly can to help our small businesses. Whether they're wherever they are, whoever owns them, they're an important part of our community. They're an important part of our economy. Tell us a little bit besides just, and I want Senator to ask you a couple questions too, but tell us a little bit about your experience of how are things going in your business right now? How is things going with the subcontractors that you work with and the other vendors that you work with? What's your, what do we need to do to help our small businesses right now? And where are you right now in terms of like your capacity in your operation? Are you at full capacity right now, or are you working at 50%? Where are you right now?
No, right now we're in the 50%, because we still doing job. We're still doing busy. We're still doing a school job. We're doing DOT job, Rhode Island College job, URI job. We're still busy and keep my guys not full 100% to up to 20 guys to 30 guys in the payroll for the summer. But we're busy right now. But we want more job because we have the capacity to do it. We have the capacity to do the job because
yes,
we have the same guy, because we had the guy from the union. We had the same guy from the union. When I don't use my guy from the union, I send it back the same way. And then with another contractor is busy, they keep the union guys.
Yeah.
But we had the same guys. The key is keep the guy busy. That's the key here in the Rhode Island.
Yeah, and Jose, I just reinforce that every job's important. A union job, non-union job, we need to really be supportive of that. And not only weren't aware that there was a waiver on that hospital, construction that the senator's talking about. I don't think you're aware that there's funds in the federal money that are designated to help our small businesses who have been forced to close to keep us safe. And I don't think that our small business community understands that. And that's why read the Providence Journal today, take a look at what I'm saying and give me support so I can give you support. But I don't think you weren't aware of that, and you're not aware of the clause in there that the governor knows not making as public as she should. Those dollars should be distributed freely right now. Senator, do you have a question for Jose or something?
Yes. I just wanted to add into what Jose said.
Hello?
I think that
Yeah, we can hear you.
Jose, can you hear us?
Hello?
Can you hear us?
Uh-oh.
Okay, so I think that he has a little. Can you hear us, Jose? We can hear you. So
Ben will,
what I wanted to just mention based on what Jose said is that we as a state cannot assume that due to an emergency, our minority business enterprise are not ready to work. If anything, this is when they need the more support. that is why I was very disappointed, because talking to, there's a misconception and there's a misperception that these small business owners don't have the capacity to act quickly and to do the job that needs to be done in a timely manner. Well, I have talked to many small business enterprise that are very disappointed, that are part of the master list and that are ready to do the work. Jose.
Okay, I'm sorry. That was correct. I got that information that day because the Senator Cano called me because she was worried about it. Jose, do you get an invitation from the hospital for the 34 million? You know what happened, and then I start asking questions, and she told me, no, Jose, and joined the task force for the state of Rhode Island, and I find out that 35 million they not went to the MBE company, and then I find out who was the GC, and she told me, company I doing business with all this company in the state of Rhode Island, from Gilbert to Track. When I find out that DMail was the GC, the primary contractor for the job, when I always doing business with DMail, they never told me about it. This is why I get disappointed. Why they not told me about it, about this job, about this project? Because I can keep my guys busy, at least for another 3 or 5 weeks. But this is why I got disappointed too, because I never get any information about it. When typical, when we bidding a state job, we got invitations from the general contractor.
The
In this case,
there was no bidding process. So
no
there
bidding
was
process.
that's exactly. There was no procurement process when it comes to these $34 million. And not only that, but we also found out that the majority, or like some part of this money, went to an outside Rhode Island company. So outside of Rhode Island company, and that's the point that Jose was making. That shouldn't be the case, right? We should support our local businesses in Rhode Island, because this money is to help our Rhode Island residents and the small businesses during a crisis. So I just want to say thank you to Jose for your advocacy, for your work, and then for doing everything the right thing, and for keeping, employing Rhode Islanders as well, because that's what you do. You're keeping the families of Rhode Island employed, and you do everything the right way. And that's why we are here to support people like you.
And thank you, Sandra Cano, and thank you, Lieutenant, for continue keeping us busy with it. I know we're still small in this. We need to continue fighting, like Sandra Cano, like you, Lieutenant, fighting for us to keep Rhode Island, because Rhode Island is number one here for us. We need to keep Rhode Island busy here in the state of Rhode Island. We don't need to go to Massachusetts, and we don't need to go to Connecticut and New York. We need to keep Rhode Island resident busy here in the state of Rhode Island. And
so we're gonna
key.
keep on doing the work, Jose. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Jose.
Thank you. We're gonna bring on another senator with Paul right now. Paul Joel. We'll be talking. Thank you so much for.
Thank you for all you do. Thank you, Jose.
Thank you.
All right.
Great.
Yes, if we could bring on Senator Raptakis, if he's in the guest room. We're going to finish up with this good senator and Paul Joel. Paul, thank you. Welcome, Senator. Welcome, Senator.
Welcome, Governor.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. We got a good 10 minutes or so. We want to talk about specifically about, you're a small business owner, Senator. You've been a small business owner. You understand what's going on, and you've been a big advocate for the small businesses. You made sure I talked to Paul about his situation down in Coventry, and we want to give him a chance. But Senator, just kind of talk about what we should be doing to help the small businesses right now.
Well, basically, I'm a former business owner after 40 years. There's a lot of regulation. And for what happened to Mr. Joyle and his business, just trying to open up under COVID was a total disaster. And I got to thank you very much for helping with his opening, where we saw the point where he wasn't going to open up till probably July under phase 3. It made no sense at all. While restaurants were opening, why a Class C license holder could not open up. So I think that's the most important key. And I'd like to spend more time with Mr. Joyle giving his side of the story But the main key is regulation, the regulation and the oversight that hampers a small business that does the right thing constantly. And Mr. Joel will explain her circumstances. And that is, I think, the big problem. Overburdensome regulation and bureaucracy. Those are the two main issues. And making state agencies work for a small business, not against a small business.
Yeah, and Senator, I think what's going to happen right now, at least, you heard the rismallbusiness.org group there that put over 1,300 small businesses together. That's going to go into our office, as we move on, and we're going to have to get a big voice for these small businesses. You've been one of the biggest advocates that I've seen in the 5.5 years for the small business community. And we're going to see very shortly how important our small businesses are to our communities, because unless we get resources to them, as I've been advocating through that 1.25 billion, and the Senate couldn't, and the General Assembly could have a say on it if the governor is not going to loosen up those funds, unless we get resources and then create a strategy that I've been advocating for, Senator, which is a really aggressive loan program where the General Assembly, the state, provides some guarantees, and Mark Hayward's talking about potentially being able to piggyback SBA guarantees on top of that and get $1 billion out on the street favorably. We're going to have all these business failures, and then we're going to see our budgets in our local areas and our state levels absolutely just, they're just going to collapse. And so that's why we need to do exactly what you said. Let's value our businesses. Paul Joyle, you're one of those businesses, and you've been in business in the state of Rhode Island for many, many years. But just give your overview of how you're feeling today and what's on the agenda, and in your point of view, what we need to do to keep these, the importance of our small businesses front and center.
Well, I'm going to basically say what Senator Atakis said earlier. The bureaucracy is just, and the red tape is incredible. You just can't seem to get out of it. And thank God, I was fortunate enough to have Senator Reptakis as a friend. Senator Adam Satchel went to bat for me. I can't imagine a small businessman not knowing. Fortunately, I knew some people to fight on my behalf. But if you don't know them, you just get lost in a shuffle. 49 years I've done business in this state in one business. We had my cigar business for 23 years. And then I've got my wholesale cigar business with my own cigar brand that I own for 10 years. I've paid my dues. And it seems there's always an obstacle in front of you that hinders you and holds you back. It's just so frustrating.
Yeah, Paul, and I would say at this point in time, we've got this really challenge in front of us because of the closures, but we also have this tremendous opportunity to really go above and beyond to help our small businesses right now. Providing credit, providing grants, providing strategies, loan strategies that make sense for businesses if they want to. If they want to stay in business and then they need some money, but we can do some things, like the senator says, to try to actually do even small things. So one of the things we're doing, what has been mentioned, we're getting donations from people. I supplied a couple of small businesses yesterday with plastic shields so that they can have the retail counters set up properly. We can provide these things. We can provide good help like you received, like from Senator Reptakis and others. And that's my point right now. We have this really good opportunity to go above and beyond in a crisis like this, to do more than what's expected. So the small business owner sits there and says, hey, thanks. At least you cared about me, Paul. And that's something that I think we've talked about. We just lost Paul. Senator, you still there? Or Paul, you okay?
Yes,
can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes. Please respond to that.
Yeah, what I was going to say, I mean, the system works when you can be heard. I mean, I voiced my grievance with the Coventry Town Council here, and they were very fair. They listened to my story, as you did when I spoke to you. That's the thing. You've got to have access, and it's one thing. There's nothing like talking with someone and saying, this is my problem. This is how it affects me. This is how it's handcuffing me. And when this is the way the system works, you have to have someone to speak to. And I was very fortunate to have you, Lieutenant Governor. I appreciate that. And the senators and the Coventry Town Council on my part. But not everybody has that. And being in business for 49 years opened some doors for me, but I still fell through the cracks. I was never able to get any federal money for my business, and because of different loopholes. We had opened on March 3rd, and I was told to get PPP money, whatever it was, you had to be open by February 15th. I said, well, wait a minute. I've been paying payroll to my employees while we were setting up for 5 months. Then I get told, well, it had to be 6 months. I just fell through the cracks everywhere. If it wasn't for me selling my old existing business, Joyle's Liquors, and I had taken a loan on this, and this was the best business plan. There isn't a bank that wanted to give me the money to do it. I would have gone down. I was open for 13 days, and I get closed for 11 weeks. I mean, I understand the circumstances of this COVID, but it just, God, there's too many cracks people fall through. That's small businesses constantly fall through these cracks, and I was one of them.
Yeah, and I, a small business owner, and I'm going to give the senator the last word on this segment, but we find ways to say yes to our customers in any way that we can, and we're in our small business community. I always said, as a mayor, my customers are the people that that elected me to serve. So I always tried to find ways to say, as long as it was fair across the board to everybody that lives in my communities. And I don't get that. We don't, we're struggling on a couple issues right now to help a couple small business segments, Paul, and we're finding ways to say no when I'm sitting here saying my experience as a small business owner, a municipal leader, a state leader, involved with Boys and Girls Club work for all these years. We could be saying yes as easy as we're saying no. So I thank you for saying that. Senator, last word to you, and then we'll move on and try to make this all work.
Sure. Lieutenant Governor, what Mr. Joyle accurately said, it's probably for all business in Rhode Island, is trying to navigate, through all the different state agencies. We had issues with DBR, Commerce, the governor's office, and other agencies to try to get him open, but we finally got him resolved. But it's working together, probably having an ombudsman to represent a business like Mr. Joyle and all other Rhode Islanders. When you do go straight to DBR, get a straight answer, not somebody passing the ball to somebody else and not getting a straight answer. I think that was the dilemma of trying to get his business opened up during the COVID crisis. And as you know, today we have another crisis of what happened in Providence last night. What's going to happen to those businesses? So I think we've got to focus and try to help businesses, regardless what the circumstance is, and try to get government to work for business, not against them. I think that's a very key issue, and the importance of background. And you've been a great leader on helping quite a few companies in the state of Rhode Island.
Well, we're going to continue to do that, and we can't do that without your help, Senator, and also the communication. My dad had a very interesting strategy when he was teaching me about things, not only about some of the things that are appropriate today with some of the racial, type of stuff that's going on and the clear racism that was out there in Minneapolis, in my opinion. But he would say this, Paul. He would say, look, always be willing, make sure everybody goes 50-50. They go each 50% of the way, and then it's responsibility to go that extra 1%. So that's what the government needs to do. It's not a 50-50 deal. We should be going that 1% extra to make sure that we're accommodating the people that elect us to do the work. So
that sounds great.
Thank you so much for both of you.
Thank you. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
I'll be down to visit you, Paul. All right. Well, we're out of time. We're going to have a special show at 5:00. I'd ask you to join in. I wanted to stick to the topic today that we have been working on for several weeks, which is helping our small businesses. But also, we can't be blind to the fact that there's a lot of unrest, and we really need to ask ourselves this simple question, in my mind, before we can move forward. And that simple question is: do Black Lives Matter? Yes or no? Answer it. That's what we're going to be talking about 5 o'clock. Please tune in. Thank you for being here. Be safe. And again, we're not going to be here Friday, but we'll be here Wednesday night. We'll be back here on Tuesday as well. If you need to talk to our office, 222-2371. Thank you. If you need to talk to me, 401-465-6204. Thank you.